What is happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking all about former one middleweight and light heavyweight world champion Reinier de Ridder, and what is happening with him right now. So as I'm sure many of you will know, there was a piece of news yesterday at the time of recording this video. That would be let me just work out my dates. That'd be Wednesday the 17th. Obviously, that's for me. Time zone in the UK. I don't know whether the date changes based on which time zone you're in, but some news that the Reinier de Ridder was leaving One Championship and was going to be fighting on UAE Warriors. We'll take a look at that in a minute. I'll say first of all that this came as a surprise to me. I hadn't heard anything regarding RDR potentially leaving. I spoke to RDR before his fight against Malakin, and he didn't, mention anything of that kind, or whether his contract was up near. So I was a little bit confused. I'll pull up the article here from MMA Fighting um to show you quickly. So this is the report that he was going to fight on July 27th, which is less than, well, at the time that this news dropped, it was 10 days away. Well, this technically dropped July 16th because of US time zone, right? But for me it was the 17th regardless. So yeah, this report from Guillermo Cruz, of course an incredibly legitimate source, says Reinier de Ridder is no longer a one championship fighter after parting ways with the promotion and joining UAE Warriors, where he was supposed to be facing Magomed Murad Kasayev in a light heavyweight contest. Anything else here worth picking out? Kasayev formerly fought in one championship, and that's about it. Yeah, UAE Warriors 51, is it? Yeah, UAE Warriors 51 live on UFC Fight Pass. So there you go. So obviously, yeah, like I said, incredibly surprising news that I don't think too many people saw coming, and it definitely seems like there is a reason why people didn't necessarily see it coming, as has been reported today by my Sportskeeda colleague Nick Atkin, who I'm sure by the time you are checking out this video, unless you're checking it out like the instant it drops, I will probably be jumping on the One on SK podcast at some point in the next couple of days, if not today or tomorrow, to chat with Nick about this. You can check that out over on the Sportskeeda MMA Originals YouTube channel. If we've already been live and you missed it, you can go on that channel and watch the replay, I suppose, or it will air live on that YouTube channel. So make sure you follow me and Nick on Twitter, and you'll be able to keep up to date with when we are going to do that, because I will speak about it a little bit more there, I suppose. But in the meantime, let me pull up this post from Nick. Let me just pull up his Twitter right now, and we will switch it over to there. So I appreciate that the text might be a little bit small, so I do apologize, but I will read it for you anyway. Nick posted update, reached out to One Championship officials about Reinier de Ridder after reported they parted ways. RDR is still under contract with One, I was told. So he reported that and then added, I don't remember how long after. But further update from a credible source: Reinier de Ridder is contracted to One Championship throughout mid 2025. So not only is he, reportedly still under contract, he is under contract for, about another full year. And that doesn't necessarily come as a surprise to me, because I hadn't heard anything regarding his contract coming up soon or anything like that. And so it's a little bit of a difficult situation. I will say that I'm a huge fan of RDR. He's one of my favorite fighters on the One Championship roster. As I said, I spoke to him before the Malakin fight, when I wrote a feature on him for Fighters Only, and he was fantastic to speak to. And I know that he has been a little bit frustrated with not being kept active, right? How old is Reinier de Ridder? 34 off the top of my head, something like that. Apologies for the loud typing. 33. He will be 34 in September. And I don't particularly think he's the type of guy that wants to compete super late into his career. He doesn't strike me as necessarily one of those guys. And so he wants to be active, and he wants to fight other top people in his weight class. And if we're being honest, if you look at the divisions he competes at, middleweight, and of course he was the light heavyweight champion. I think middleweight is obviously the better suit for him. Obviously, with one championships weight classes, middleweight, is actually higher than 185 pounds. It's 205. So, or is it? Yeah, I get confused with this all the time. But regardless, when I say middleweight is his natural weight class, obviously, if he was to go and fight in UAE Warriors, he wouldn't be fighting at middleweight because that's 185, and he hasn't fought at that weight class in, I imagine, ever, if not a long time. So there isn't really a whole lot of options for him regarding who he was going to fight, which I think is a bit of an issue. But also, he just wants to fight. I think that realistically, the kind of only option, obviously, he's lost twice to Anatoly Malikin, those being his last two fights in one championship, one coming earlier this year in March at 166 in the rematch. And then before that, it was one on Prime Video 5, right? So that was that December of 2022, which came together on quite short notice as well. And he worked really hard for the Malikin rematch. And I think that he was a little frustrated with how long it took to get that one together. But it did happen. And he wasn't able to get the win and keep hold of his middleweight title. And to me, it kind of felt like the only other clear option there was to have a rematch with Onglan Sang, who he's beaten twice, but Ongla keeps beating every other middleweight. And light heavyweight, well, the light heavyweight doesn't really exist right now in one championship, but I'm sure if it did exist, Ongla would also beat a lot of those guys too. So that was kind of the only option. I don't think RDR has ever really been super interested in that. He, of course, beat Ongla in back-to-back fights when he won the middleweight and light heavyweight titles off of him. So it's a tricky situation. I can understand RDR's frustration, but at the same time, if he's contracted until midway through 2025, then this is probably not going to end brilliantly for him. Obviously, I hope that regardless of how this plays out, I hope that whether RDR ends up leaving or whether he stays with one championship, I hope that he is able to stay active and get fights because, like I said, he is nearly 34 and he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that wants to compete until he's, in his 40s. So I hope he is able to stay active in some way. I hope that is the overall resolution of this, is that RDR gets a fight booked, whether it be on one championship or not. Obviously, I would love to still see him compete in one championship, but I like I said, I do understand his frustrations, and I don't really think there is a whole lot of options out there for who he would fight even in one championship right now, other than Ongla, who of course is set to return at 168 in Denver. But as I mentioned, RDR has beaten him twice in back-to-back fights. So we'll see how this all plays out. What do you guys think on this RDR situation? Do you think that his time in one championship is over? Do you think he will get a fight this year? Will this UAE Warriors fight happen? I mean, I'm not too sure what's going to happen with this. I will try to get on that in some way, and yeah, like I said, I will be chatting with Nick on the One on SK podcast. I'm very sure of that, so be sure to check that out if you are checking out this video and you haven't already, but if not, I will see you all very, very soon. Thank you for checking out this video. As always, I appreciate the support, and yeah, I'll catch you all very soon.